times people say, you're a conspiracy theorist, you watch too many movies or something like that, you know? But a lot of stuff I was learning was very...
If you remember when hip-hop was about raw storytelling, not just viral moments and catchy sound bites, then the vanishing of crucial interviews feels deeply unsettling. Over the years, some of the culture's most vital conversations have simply disappeared. Entire hip-hop interviews have been mysteriously wiped from YouTube, audio recordings erased, and in-depth discussions scrubbed like they never even existed.
Is the industry bowing down to Desiree Perez? Is it because of her connection to Jay-Z? It can, because a lot of people is connected to Jay-Z. There's a lot of agents and employees at Roc Nation. Desiree Perez just happens to have the juice. And one can say it's probably the ties to the cartel. She probably knows how to make the skeletons disappear.
The pattern is clear. Whenever artists begin revealing the darker operations behind the music industry, those power structures hidden from the public eye, their voices tend to disappear swiftly and without explanation. This is exactly what occurred with pivotal interviews involving DMX and Mobb Deep's Prodigy. Both artists spoke openly about the hidden forces shaping the industry, and even named powerful figures like Diddy and Jay-Z, while pointing toward the real puppet masters pulling strings behind the curtain. Their messages were bold, unfiltered, and deeply revealing.
Whenever I went through something, it brought me closer to God. And I stayed into something. So now I'm closer to God. But being closer is hard. The attacks get stronger, become much harder to fight, and they last longer. That's what it's always been. Joy with the pain, dark with the light, sun with the rain. With the right perspective, there can be something to gain. Look for the good and the bad, not just something that wins.
Yet, much like similar voices who dared to speak out, the interviews featuring DMX and Prodigy have largely been removed from platforms and buried in silence. And the reason seems painfully obvious, because the truth they reveal directly challenged those in control. DMX raised red flags in interviews about an industry built on control, where top-level moguls keep artists tightly managed and pressured into silence. Two names that continued surfacing in these conversations were Diddy and Jay-Z. Meanwhile, Prodigy of Mobb Deep frequently spoke out against a hidden power structure he claimed extended beyond music and entertainment into the fabric of society itself.
Are behind the scenes.
The group that was formed like in the 1700s, something like that, 1600s. This dude named Adam Weishaupt. He started this group of people, like powerful, rich people that basically shape popular opinion and the way, the world is gonna move forward.
While much of the original footage where they exposed these topics has mysteriously vanished, a few clips still remain online. These fragments offer powerful insight into what DMX and Prodigy were attempting to warn the public about, and why there may be a strong effort to keep those messages buried. Let's start with DMX and his stark warnings about a dark presence behind the scenes. Back in 2007, DMX appeared on HBO's Def Poetry Jam and performed a striking poem titled "The Industry." It was an unfiltered moment, and he wasn't holding back any details. The piece painted a disturbing picture of how the music business operates.
A lot of corny, man. A lot of corny rappers, man. I'm just like, yo, man. I could name a list of 100 corny rappers, yo, right now. Mad from New York. They ain't supposed to be rapping. I mean, who really like these? Who really like these? Tell me, I want to know some.
DMX described a landscape where artists are either forced to compromise their values or risk losing everything. He laid out a system where authenticity is punished and obedience is rewarded. But DMX's message wasn't just about record deals or contract disputes. It went deeper. He described what he saw as a spiritual war behind the curtain, one where influential figures pushed destructive narratives and manipulated vulnerable talent. In his lyrics and interviews, DMX often referenced the devil symbolizing forces of temptation, deception, and control. He believed certain people were placed in positions of power to lead artists toward decisions that ultimately cost them their soul. During a revealing appearance on the Dr. Phil show, DMX stated that he had experienced not one but 3 direct encounters with what he described as the devil. He explained that understanding the world required seeing both light and darkness, and choosing your path without being forced into submission or silence. But this wasn't the first time DMX spoke about facing something dark. In a 2009 jailhouse interview while serving time in Arizona, he mentioned encountering the devil again, this time calling Arizona God's country.
Then I met the devil in God's country. You know, and it's not so much who, it's what, you know, what happens.
The Hip Hop Task Force was created to watch Sean Puffy Combs, P. Diddy, to watch the artists that was connected with P. Diddy.
3 conversations with the devil. Why with the devil?
Well, to make a fair decision, I think you have to be aware of both sides. And I was approached, so of course I had a conversation. It doesn't mean I rode with him or believed him. I just was able to recognize him by what he said to me and what he offered me.
He didn't name specific individuals during that interview, but he made one thing clear. Whatever happened there left such a lasting impression, he vowed never to return. So what did DMX mean when he said he met the devil in Arizona? Was it symbolic, or was he pointing toward a real experience with powerful figures offering dangerous deals? Many have speculated it could have involved an offer that came with serious consequences, possibly a moment where he had to choose between integrity and personal gain. And it's important to remember the names DMX did mention in other interviews. Individuals like Jay-Z, Diddy, and record executive Liar Cohen. These weren't random mentions. These were some of the most influential decision makers in the music world. At the time, calling them out was seen as career suicide. Yet DMX didn't hold back. He used his platform to suggest that these executives weren't just controlling business deals. They were, in his view, part of a much deeper system of manipulation. His message was always the same. Artists are being pushed to make deals that compromise who they are, all for the illusion of success.
Is the industry bowing down to Desiree Perez? Is it because of her connection to Jay-Z? It can, because a lot of people is connected to Jay-Z. There's a lot of agents and employees at Rock Nation. Desiree Perez just happens to have the juice. And one can say it's probably the ties to the cartel. She probably knows how to make the skeletons disappear.
In a long-buried interview, DMX made bold accusations against Diddy, stating outright that Diddy had violated his own artists. The comment was layered, with some believing DMX was speaking on financial exploitation and manipulation. However, considering recent lawsuits and testimonies tied to Bad Boy Records, others believe his words carried a far more literal meaning. The interview resurfaced amid growing public scrutiny of industry figures, and many now view DMX's warning as one of the earliest signs that something was deeply wrong behind the scenes. Especially in light of current investigations, his claims appear increasingly difficult to ignore. DMX didn't just stop at Diddy. He was also outspoken about Jay-Z, particularly after Jay took over as president of Def Jam in 2004. According to DMX, Jay-Z began blocking the release of his 6th studio album, Year of the Dog, again. DMX claimed it was less about business and more about removing competition, especially after Jay-Z's much publicized retirement turned out to be short-lived. But the frustration ran deeper than label politics. DMX often voiced his concern about who Jay-Z was aligning with, especially individuals like Lior Cohen. Cohen, a major figure in the music industry, has been criticized for championing artists who push harmful themes and behaviors. In fact, Cohen once acknowledged, without remorse, that promoting artists tied to substance use was just part of the business, even while society continues grappling with the impact of addiction. For DMX, who battled those struggles personally, this level of indifference was infuriating. It wasn't just about the music, it was about who was profiting off real human pain. His message was clear. The music industry isn't just driven by talent, it's driven by those willing to exploit it. This is the same executive that Jay-Z publicly referred to as his mentor in his memoir, Decoded. Jay-Z wrote that Leor Cohen, someone he deeply respected, once shared a lesson he learned from a rabbi about the 8 degrees of giving in Judaism. While Leor Cohen is undoubtedly one of the most influential figures in music, his legacy is surrounded by persistent controversy and growing speculation. One popular theory suggests Cohen may have deeper ties than he admits, possibly even linked to intelligence agencies. This conspiracy emerged after Cohen made conflicting statements during a 2023 Vlad TV interview. At one point, he described his mother as a simple housewife, but later in the same conversation, he slipped up and revealed that she had actually worked for the Israeli government. That inconsistency didn't go unnoticed, and it added fuel to theories that Cohen's influence in hip-hop could be serving broader agendas. Jay-Z himself has faced allegations of being tied to government operations, particularly through Roc Nation's president, Desiree Perez. Her past cooperation with federal authorities has only added layers of suspicion to an already complex picture. These connections raise serious questions about who really holds power behind the scenes and how that power is being used. Cohen's strained history with DMX only adds to the controversy. After DMX tragically passed from a suspected overdose in 2021, Cohen made a comment in Billboard that sparked immediate backlash. He referred to DMX as a gremlin and said his death was no surprise if you'd listened to his music or followed his life. The tone was widely condemned as disrespectful, especially considering the timing and the artist's legacy. Despite later claiming he helped DMX's career, those close to the situation tell a different story. According to the late music executive Irv Gotti, both Cohen and Jay-Z used to mock DMX early in his career, never believing he had what it took to succeed. Yet DMX defied their doubts, leaving a legacy that couldn't be ignored. Now, when discussing figures who challenged Jay-Z and his powerful affiliations, only to later pass away under controversial and suspicious conditions, it's essential to examine the legacy of the late prodigy of Mobb Deep. Prodigy was outspoken in his warnings about what he called the Illuminati, and while some dismissed the term as conspiracy, he insisted that it referred to real forces operating behind closed doors, forces far darker and more calculated than many assume. Prodigy's tension with Jay-Z dated back to the intense New York rap rivalries of the late 1990s and early 2000s. Although Jay-Z later stated that they had squashed their beef before Prodigy's death, a leak of one of Prodigy's letters written from prison added complexity to that narrative. Though that letter has largely vanished from major platforms, remnants of it can still be found across forgotten blogs and deep corners of the internet. In the letter, Prodigy made serious claims. He wrote that Jay-Z knew exactly who was pulling the strings behind the scenes, both in the music industry and in broader society. But instead of speaking out or warning others, Jay allegedly chose to align with those very same powers in exchange for personal advancement and mainstream acceptance. Prodigy's letter stated, "The government, religions, politics, the Federal Reserve, IRS, and everything we believe and live by is a joke. Jay-Z knows the truth, but chose to side with evil in order to be accepted in the corporate world." He added that instead of using his influence to empower others, Jay-Z concealed critical truths and helped promote what Prodigy called the lifestyle of the beast. The letter closed with a chilling statement. Prodigy declared his intent to relentlessly attack Jay-Z, the Illuminati, and every other evil that exists until my lights are put out. A bold declaration from an artist who believed he was standing up to a hidden structure of manipulation and control. What makes Prodigy's warnings even more haunting is the manner in which he died. In June 2017, while hospitalized for complications related to sickle cell anemia, a condition he had battled his entire life, Prodigy reportedly choked on an egg while receiving treatment in Las Vegas. The official story was that it was a tragic accident, but the circumstances surrounding his death sparked immediate speculation across music circles and online forums alike. Many fans and industry insiders questioned how someone with a known health condition, surrounded by medical professionals, could suffer such a bizarre and fatal accident, especially given the fact that Prodigy had been making the rounds in interviews, once again speaking out about the systems of control and exploitation in music, politics, and culture. Just weeks before his death, he had discussed these themes in depth, drawing connections between media, corporate power, and global influence. What fueled more suspicion was the sudden removal of Prodigy's more controversial interviews and content from public platforms shortly after his death. Entire interviews vanished, links went dead, and clips that once trended were quietly taken down or suppressed by search algorithms. This pattern mirrored what had previously happened with DMX, suggesting that the removal of such content may not be coincidental, but strategic. Even during his final performances, Prodigy was vocal about exposing what he believed was a network of elites using the music industry to push harmful narratives. He rapped about surveillance, hidden agendas, and betrayal within hip-hop, all while maintaining a loyal following that admired his honesty. Whether or not one believes in the term Illuminati, Prodigy's life, words, and death continue to raise serious questions. The fact that his voice, like so many others, was nearly erased after speaking out only adds weight to the theory that some truths are too uncomfortable for powerful institutions to allow. Prodigy once declared, "I fear nothing and no one," affirming that he felt fearless because the truth had liberated him from what he called Illuminati-style mental enslavement. He said he was empowered by God and the universe. What's especially notable is that just 5 months before his passing, Prodigy released his final album, Hegelian Dialectic, The Book of Revelation, a project filled with sharp commentary on secret societies, societal manipulation, and the unseen power brokers operating behind public institutions. Reportedly, he was also developing a full musical based on these theories, aiming to go even further in exposing what he believed were orchestrated deceptions at the highest levels of entertainment and government. But on June 20th, 2017, his life ended abruptly. Initially assumed to be complications from his lifelong battle with sickle cell disease, the official story shifted when the Clark County coroner's report claimed Prodigy choked on a boiled egg while hospitalized in Las Vegas. The detail struck many as strange. Prodigy's family later filed a lawsuit against Spring Valley Medical Center, alleging negligence. They argued that his IV was mishandled and that his oxygen levels weren't monitored properly despite doctors' instructions. Even with that legal battle, many in the hip-hop community have remained skeptical. Questions continue to surface about how someone could choke fatally in a monitored hospital setting, and fans have pointed out the disturbing coincidence that he passed away right when he was once again speaking out against elite networks and secret influence in the music world. Both Prodigy and DMX named some of the most powerful figures in hip-hop, like Diddy and Jay-Z, as either part of or complicit in what they described as a hidden structure of control. And both artists died in situations that still spark debate and suspicion. Was it simply bad timing and personal health issues? Or were these two voices silenced for speaking too directly and publicly about the forces that shape the industry? That's the question many are still asking. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was this all coincidence or something deeper? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss the next expose unraveling the hidden layers behind the culture.